どうも皆さん、市内なる隣人昭和6時です。What's good everyone, this is Showa 60. Today I just want to talk about references in art, and is reference use stealing. But before we get to that, if you like what you see here, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and hit up my coffee. The link is in the description below. If you have like a spare $3 that you don't need, by all means you can pass it up to yours truly, and I will definitely give you far more art content and things like that, because I love drawing, and it's one of my favorite things to do in my spare time, especially since I'm a big fat weeb. I love drawing anime art because it makes me feel good. That out of the way, let's talk about references, right? So the art community is filled to the brim with various artists from around the world with various art styles, various skill levels, and things like that. And it's like that with every particular trade. There's different skill levels, different styles, and that's the beauty of the art community, especially because there's a lot of actual diversity, as in multiple skill sets, multiple personalities, and idiosyncrasies. It's not just bound by the color of your skin, the gender you identify as, or things like that. It's much more than that, and I would like for people to really understand that concept, thanks. But anyway, see, my thing is, back to the subject at hand, with the concept of using references and other art, I think it's not cheating. Like, you're not cheating if you're using another person's pose or things like that. But before you go run off and tell people this, without any proper context, I also have to stress to people that using reference, I think, is not the same as just tracing or just straight up ripping off other people's artwork. Those are two different things. When you're ripping off people's artwork, literally, you're either tracing or just trying to cover it up and say that, oh, this is mine, I did it all myself. No, this is what some of these crazy Sonic fan artists do. No, we don't do that. But the point here that I'm trying to get at is, if you're using reference, or like reference materials, then it'll help you understand the concept of anatomy a lot faster and far more efficiently. You're not going to get it right the first time, but if you do, then that's a definite plus, because hey, my thing is, when people use reference, they normally draw inspiration from that pose or whatever character or art style that they're using in order to create their own style, which I think is really intuitive and extraordinarily good, that you're drawing your inspiration from that particular artist, using their artwork as a reference sheet for how you want to do your art. I mean, that's cool. Eventually it becomes your own individual style that is completely separate from that previous artist or other artist, and I think that's a very good trait to have, and has a good ability and skill set to develop. There shouldn't be a shame in using references. I mean, if you draw up the top of your head, that's cool. But not everybody starts off like that. Like, sometimes you use either other people's artwork or you use the environment that is around you. I would go on trips to certain parts of the town, and I would see some people bring in like their sketchbooks or their 2-in-1 laptops or like their tablets, and they would draw straight from what they see. Also, I'm afraid to burst the bubbles of a lot of people who are just getting started in the world of art, but even the likes of legendary Kim Jong-gi use references. The only reason it looks like he doesn't do so is because he's been in the art game for years, and that applies to a lot of other seasoned illustrators and artists, you know, people who draw and stuff like that. It gets to a point where they don't need the foundations, they don't need like stick figures, they don't need shapes. Like, they already have a good idea of what it is because they've been doing this for a long time and they've made it into a habit. That's the whole magic of it. The more you do something, the easier it gets. This is why I've gotten into my immersion journey when it comes to speaking Japanese, because it helps me grow. It helps me get a better understanding of what the language is. And I think the same process applies to art. I mean, acquiring something is good. Learning helps the process even faster, especially when you're using references for comprehension purposes and things like that. I mean, I know it's a ramble, but there's a point to this. It's not a sin to use reference sheets or other people's artwork or even the environment around you to help you become a better artist. If you're using like art software, especially like I do, such as Clip Studio Paint, they have a bevy of references for you to utilize. A whole lot of brushes and stuff that make your experience easier. This is one of the reasons why I've preferred digital art more than I do traditional. Which isn't to say that traditional art is bad. In fact, it's actually good. There are some incredible modern artists today that still use analog. And to all you analog artists out there, you guys are very awesome and far more creative. And I think you guys are the MVPs here. But back to the subject of digital art though. There's a lot of ease that comes with it. But even with all of that, it doesn't make you a better artist. It just helps you speed up the process a lot faster. And that's what it normally does. Like with Clip Studio especially, you could use like 3D objects. You could use 3D perspective tools and rulers. And like it's just there right at the ready for you. It's not a sin to use a reference. Nobody should be condemned for using any possible means necessary to become a better artist, as long as you're not just flat out tracing. Now, if you have to trace, I would have to say use like, if you're a digital artist, if you're like a digital artist, I would say use like primitive, use 3D primitives, or if you're a 3D artist and want to jump back into 2D, you can use some of your already established 3D figures and whatever and make 2D illustrations of them. That's fine too. There should be no shame in that. But even so, incorporate something that separates you from what you did previously or what was already given. Like add a little uniqueness. And the more you do that, the more it ends up becoming yours, to the point where you don't even need references anymore. You know exactly what you're doing rather than just making assumptions. With that being said, use your references and use the resources given to you wisely. Because if you fail to do that, then you will never progress as an artist. So yeah, that was my 2 cents. I mean, if you agree with my sentiment, or if you don't agree with my sentiment, either way, it's fine. Just let me know in the comments. Just be a little more nice about it. Don't be passive-aggressive or cruel about it. Just, if you agree or disagree, just let me know. With that being said, this is Showa 60. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. Mata ne!